And we are live. That was so easy. We're live. I can't believe you're here, my friend. You
Hey,
are you are the legendary. I didn't put legendary. What's wrong with me? Legendary Jonatan Ivanov. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I've only known you for like 6 years or whatever. So,
mine is still like much easier, I guess, than like the Polish section of the Spring team.
Oh yeah. How do you pronounce it?
So it's Ivanov.
Okay, I did
Uh,
do it. Okay then.
so it's not very far. It's definitely like easier than Dariush. I mean his like
Yeah.
last name. She's like Jojeshchik, I guess. But he will correct me.
Well, we had the wonderful Marcin Grzeziak on the
Yes, Marcin Jeshchak. Yes.
yeah. Oh my goodness, what a name. He's one of the best brains ever. But that name was I'm like, wow. Um anyway, I'm really happy to see you. You are
Me too.
Jonatan
Thanks for
Ivanov.
having me.
Thank you. Are you kidding? I'm so glad to I don't know about you, but I'm like gearing up for the holiday, and I wanted to catch up with all the. I've been trying not to bother the Spring team too much because I know we got Spring Framework 7 and Spring Boot 4 and all these other amazing projects out the door, and just in time for Christmas. Um, but I've been trying to line up as many interviews as I can ever since then. And so I was trying to get you, and I know you're busy, but thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier like after the November releases, because that was like a big one. Like I guess Micrometer we had like 11 releases
What?
just alone the Micrometer team. Yes.
So we talk about the release train a lot, well, but of course, Micrometer has to be first,
Yes.
even before Spring
Everything.
Framework.
Yeah, even before Reactor.
Oh
Like
wow.
yes, Micrometer is the very first one, and then
Whew.
comes Reactor, and after that it is like a framework.
Yeah. Wow. So Micrometer, can you tell people what Micrometer is? Because I don't want to butcher it.
Yes. So Micrometer was like, it was used to be a metrics library, a dimensional metrics library for JVM applications. And that was like years ago. It started in 2017, I guess. But nowadays it's much more. Nowadays we say that Micrometer is basically like an observability facade or like an
Yeah.
observability library. So basically almost everything like for observability except logging, because you have a facade there as lf4j, just use that. Micrometer is the same thing, like kind of like an observability facade. It has like an API for like general like observability things. It has like a specific API for metrics, and it has a specific API for distributed tracing and also like context propagation.
Oh, that's amazing. If you're in the chat and you are using Micrometer, I mean, if you're actually, I don't even know. Here's the thing: I don't even know if people realize they're using Micrometer. If you're using Actuator,
Yes.
let me know. So I think most people who are using Spring, their default exposure to Micrometer will be through the Actuator module.
Yes.
Is that
Once you
fair?
add Actuator, you will get Micrometer like for free. And for like Spring Boot 4, like because of the remodularization, a couple of things was changed, but still like you will get like Micrometer if you add Actuator. And if you want like more things, then you need to add like other modules. But start at spring.io. I heard
Oh
that's
yeah.
like the second favorite place of somebody. Just go there and start like typing things, observability, tracing, metrics, whatever you need, and it will know what to do, and it will add things for you easily.
That's a good point, actually. I haven't tried that in a minute. So if I go to Actuator and I type in, look at that. I'm typing observability. I just type in OBSE, and I've got Dynatrace, Datadog, Influx, Graphite, New Relic. This is OpenTelemetry Protocol, OTLP,
Yep.
Prometheus, distributed tracing which I assume is Zipkin. Or is that the actual? No, there's a separate entry for Zipkin. So is this just the exporters, like the distributed, like Oh, what was that called?
So the interesting thing is once you add like micrometer tracing to a project, you always need to add a so-called like bridge. Micrometer tracing cannot really do too much on its own. It's basically like a facade for tracing APIs. And you can choose like
Oh,
which one you want. Like there is Brave and OpenTelemetry as well as tracers, and it's basically like an under the hood detail. You don't need to know about really in most of the cases of which tracing library you are using under the hood.
right,
But also in order to make these tracing data like exported outside of your application, you will
right.
also need like a reporter or an exporter. And that's basically like what format you want to use, where do you want to like export the data. Because if you just add like a bridge, you will get like the trace ID and the span ID in your logs, but the data will not go outside of your application automatically. You can process it locally if you want. Like you can like
Yeah, but
write it in a file, you can add your own exporter, you can do whatever you need. But if you add like an extra dependency, you will get it out of the box. This was, I guess, like another thing that was changed with boot 4, because like previously you needed to add like Micrometer, Bridge, Brave, and the Zipkin exporter, and now there are like starters in Spring Boot for those.
so okay,
So
let's talk
yeah.
about that. That is a
Mhm.
huge deal, right? Hold on, on track. There's a new, specifically an OpenTelemetry starter in Spring Boot 4. Now we've had
Yes.
support. We've had support for OpenTelemetry for I think the
Yes.
entire 3.x line. There was support for it. It was just we didn't have an
Yes.
auto config for it, basically. Is that true?
We did have auto configuration as
Oh,
well. What we did not have is one single starter. So if you wanted to use OpenTelemetry, you needed to add like Micrometer OTLP, which is the
mhm.
OTLP support for metrics by Micrometer. You needed to add like the tracing bridge for OTel, and you also needed to add like an OpenTelemetry exporter. And that's basically like you needed to add like 3 dependencies at least.
Manually.
And now manually, yes, that was a lot of work. A lot of people actually like complain, hey, we want OpenTelemetry. Here you go, but yeah, we want OpenTelemetry, but it's there.
It's literally there. Just add jars. And I remember the days when I had to add jars to my build,
Oh no,
like
please no.
with my fingers, by hand. I mean, like a savage, you know. So now it's now it's much better. I just add
Yeah.
that one little dependency. And so what does that give me? It doesn't leave my JVM still though, right? It doesn't go to Prometheus or Dynatrace or whatever by
So
default.
no, so it will set up like OpenTelemetry for use of both metrics and traces. You will need a backend that
Yeah,
can receive like something in like the OTLP format.
right,
OTLP is the OpenTelemetry line protocol.
right,
Basically, that's the protocol that is used to like send data on the wire. So you will need kind of like an OpenTelemetry collector and a bunch of things like supports it, like all of the big like observability, like software as a service solutions. They have
right.
like an OpenTelemetry or OTLP ingestion endpoint, or you need to add like a OpenTelemetry collector, which is like a software component that runs in your infrastructure. And it can basically do this like forwarding logic that it will like receive the data in the OTLP format and it will forward it in like whatever format you want. But that is like
Right.
you need to deploy it and maintain it in your infra. Plus, as far as I remember, the OpenTelemetry collector is still not stable yet. So be careful with that.
So so I just point it, but so when I add this starter, is it just a few properties? I point it to the different hosts and ports.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, you need to like define the URL. Like, hey, this is my endpoint that I want to send the data, and that's it.
Nice. So if I add like Dynatrace or Prometheus, it's sitting there behind the scenes. I've got the collector in front of it.
So for Prometheus, you will need, I guess, like a collector that
Mm,
Prometheus will scrape, and you will send the data to the collector.
okay.
I'm not
Wow.
100% sure what is the situation right now. And I guess like even if like you can do this like without the collector. You will need to use like a very, very like recent version of the Prometheus server. Yeah, but like for like Spring applications, like your application like that runs on the JVM, it doesn't care. It will just send the data to whatever it can receive, the OTLP bits. Also, if you want to like learn a little bit more about like the OpenTelemetry support with Spring Boot, our colleague Moritz Halbriter, he wrote a excellent blog post. It's on like the Spring blog. I guess if you search for Road to GA, yes, there was a series. This is part of that series. As far as I remember, the title of it is OpenTelemetry with Spring Boot.
3 weeks ago. Okay, here we go.
If I send it to you, can you like post it to the chat? Like to
I
the
think
stream?
I just did.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So this is basically like a blog post which will give you like all of the bits and pieces, like how to set up things, including like logs, metrics, and distributed tracing, and also like what kind of like support you will get and how will they work like under the hood. It's a really nice like blog post. If you want to use like OpenTelemetry with Spring Boot applications, like please read it.
Well, okay, I can already see my first bump in the road. The first paragraph says, "Getting started. You attach the OpenTelemetry Java agent," which you know, I'm a GraalVM enjoyer, so I see there's another paragraph. But what are the additional hoops?
So for like I guess like the article says the OpenTelemetry Java agent as a like kind of like an alternative,
right?
And yeah, it's basically like a trade-off. Like with GraalVM, as far as I remember, so far there is no like official support for Java agents. So because GraalVM is not a JVM, like its runtime is called like Substrate VM.
Right.
Java agents like usually don't work on GraalVM. Right. As far as I remember, though, like there are some kind of like unofficial support for it, and there are companies who made their agent work with GraalVM. I don't really know like how well it is working. I have never tried, and I don't even know if the OpenTelemetry agent is using it can work with GraalVM. But basically, the caveat there or the trade-off there is like, if you're using an agent, like first, like these Spring bits, they will be instrumented something like outside of it.
Right. Okay, but but I don't have to do that, right?
There's a way. You don't. Yes.
Oh,
so
God.
If like the whole Spring portfolio, so the 0th day when they come out, they are instrumented. So that's a great thing. When Spring Boot 4 came out, everything was instrumented. That's the same thing with Spring Boot 3 as well. If you are using something which is like instrumenting it from outside, they need to follow this. Like there will be some time that you need to wait for these like agents or like other components to instrument Spring, because it was like a new major version with breaking changes.
But now, you know, I mean, so all the Spring Portfolio projects already have integration with Micrometer.
Yes.
If you are just using Spring Portfolio stuff and you have your own code and you want to emit custom spans and metrics and whatever for your own code, you can inject the Micrometer registry and things like that.
Even if you're not, like other frameworks as well, like using Micrometer to instrument themselves.
Yeah.
Also, like a bunch of other libraries as well, they are natively instrumenting themselves using Micrometer. We have a huge list of this. Like we have like a big spreadsheet. You need to scroll quite a while. And actually, I guess like some of this is like also available on our website. Like if you go to micrometer.io and let me try to find that link. So if you go to micrometer.io,
can you mention some of the other libraries that support it?
And if you go to, there is an instrumented project like Apache Camel, CXF Dabo, the HTTP client Skywalking.
Wait, what? What is that?
Yep. So Apache Skywalking, it's basically like a distributed tracing like a library. Yep.
So you're starting with the Apache stuff.
Yes. Okay. Because it's like in alphabetical order. So Couchbase, gRPC, JDBC, like the JDK clients, a bunch of things in the JDK we instrumented. Jersey, Cherry, JMS, Kotlin things, Lettuce, which is like the Redis,
Driver.
the Redis driver. Yes. Micronaut, also OKHTTP, OpenFeign, like a lot of things. Like this list is long.
Wow.
Like go there and
Wow.
and you can see that.
And okay, where's that? You sent me a link. Yes, you did.
Yes, I did it on StreamYard, but I can send it to you. So like
Here we
other
are.
channel.
There you are. That's a very long list.
Yes.
Goodness. That is a very
And
long list.
also, I believe this is kind of probably out of date, and there are
Oh,
more
yeah.
things that we need to add. And also, that's a great thing in it, like with the Spring portfolio. If, like, for example, when like Spring AI got its first release, Spring AI 1.0,
Right.
observability was already built in.
Right. Because this is, by the way, I've been beating on this drum for years now, right? Which is that, AI is interesting, but it's only interesting insofar as I can trust it, right? So I need to know that
Oh
it's
yes.
scalable, that it's secure, that it's observable, that I can understand what it's doing. And one of my favorite features, one of the things that makes people like, oh, okay, I get it now, right? One of the most interesting things is we can show you your token consumption as a metric, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, yes, yes.
so good.
Also, I
It's so
think
good.
like this is really great, like observability data and consuming and visualizing it. For example, like if you like a distributed tracing and you visualize the trace and the spans,
Yeah.
if you just like learn a new library and it already like is doing this for you, you kind of get like a UML kind of like a sequence diagram, like with all of the big things and all of the calls in it, because it's basically like a tree-like structure about what the library or framework is doing under the hood for you. So you can basically like learn things faster. You can see that, hey,
Right.
what's that thing? Why there is like a network call there, and so on.
Visualize the interplay of components in the code base. That's
Yes.
interesting.
There was a guy that was like a very interesting. I'm not sure if he did it, but when we created the observation API, one of my like a big like shocks was like, or like I'm not sure how big of a shock was it, but I was like a little bit of a shocked
Right.
or in a shock, because like what the observation API is doing, you instrument your code and then you can create components that will create some kind of like an output based on that instrumentation data. And
Wait.
that's how like you are just basically saying, hey, let's start an observation, let's like stop that observation, let's signal an error if there is, and so on. And there are things called observation handlers. And what they do, they will react to these like events. Like, hey, somebody started an observation, somebody stopped an observation, and so on.
Right.
So the instrumentation in the whole Spring portfolio, it's not based on like, hey, let's like start a timer and stop a timer for metrics, and let's start and stop a span for tracing. It's just start and stop an observation. And you as a user will decide later that, hey, if I register something that will create a timer, start and stop a timer when you start and stop an observation, and create a span, like start and stop a span when you start and stop an observation, then you can get these like additional data. You can add like logging and so on. And we basically did this not just because you can easily have like one instrumentation and you can get like metrics and tracing out of this. That's what
Right.
we provide out of the box. But users, they can say that, hey, if there is an HTTP call to that server, I want to write this audit database table or do whatever things. I have a
Oh.
demo which I sometimes I show on conferences if I have like enough time, that basically like plays like musical notes.
Right.
Then yes, so when you start an observation, it starts playing the note, and when you stop the observation, it will stop it. So for example,
Right.
you will see it will play like some kind of like quite somehow random music. It's not that random. So if I hit the whole thing with a load generator, what I usually do, there is an incoming HTTP request, then play a random drum, a percussive instrument. So you can hear like a drum solo. And the
Right.
pace of the music is basically your throughput. If it is faster, then you basically like process more data. If it is like slower, then you process less. And
Do
the
these
length of
Do the
Go ahead.
listeners get invoked for every single request? Or is it like sampled?
No, this is for every single request. You can sample it if you want, but like this is a demo. I just hit it with like, I don't know, 10 requests per second or 5 or something. So it's not that crazy. But also like every single
Hi, Marcin. Good to see you, my
yes.
friend. So
So
that's
every
so
single node, the length of the
yeah.
node is basically the length of like processing that HTTP request. So I can basically like slow down the whole thing like arbitrarily, because I have like a crazy thing on the network called proxy, which
Yeah.
introduces latency on the wire when I call outside of the database or something.
Right.
So you can hear when I introduce latency, the music, it slows down. You can hear the JVM is like struggling. Your Spring Boot application has a very, very, very bad time. You can hear it like very clearly
Right.
because there is a
Um,
like additional latency. So yeah,
I think that's a
when
great
we
idea, actually. Like we used to have, this is like if you took wearing a pager to hyperspeed, right? Like you get a page for every single latency gap, you know? Uh, you get a beep on your beeper.
yes,
That's
yes.
that's awesome.
So when we created an observation API, one of the goals of it was like this, so that users can integrate with like anything based on that, because they just like listen to these events and they can create whatever output they want. So one output that we created was this like music thing. Somebody mentioned to me on Twitter that they were planning to create UML sequence diagrams from observation data when they run the tests. So when you run a JUnit test, and the output of the JUnit test will be like an image where you can see on a UML sequence diagram what components were like what instrumented components were called, because you will have this data from the observation. And yeah, an image is an output. Like
Yeah,
that's what observability is all about.
right. I mean, that's amazing. Actually, that would be really, you're right. That would be a great way to learn how the system works. Um,
Yep.
oh, there's an implementation that flies JFR events, right? That's one of the things we have in the Spring Batch support as well is Java Flight Recorder.
That's what I did a talk with Pasha Finkelstein
Yeah,
on Dev2Next, like the VenkatConf,
I
and
just
we did
talked to
this
him.
actually.
I just talked to him this morning.
Yes.
He's got.
Okay. So we did a talk that basically like did this, like it converted observations to JFR events.
Oh my God.
That's also like an output. Whatever you can figure out as an output, you probably will be able to do it with the observation API, including music, including images, JFR events, metrics tracing, logging,
Wow.
whatever.
And most of the work is already done by the Spring team. It's not like it's if you want to know about
Yes.
HTTP requests and transactions and JDBC interactions and whatever, all
It's
that's
already
there.
instrumented. Just need to decide what to do with the data.
How how many database libraries are using our instrumentation, for example, Micrometer?
I have no idea. Like we have Redis, MongoDB,
Wow.
JDBC. I don't really know. There are quite a few. Like JDBC covers basically like
But how
it's a
do
huge like white card.
but how do we do
R2DBC.
that? Do we have a wrapper data source? Is that the idea?
So so for JDBC there is a project called JDBC Observations,
Okay.
and it is created by Tadaya Chikuboyo.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yes, our very Tadaya. So he has another library called Data Source Proxy,
yeah.
which is proxying data sources. And he's basically in that library listening to JDBC events and creates like observations from those events.
That's amazing.
Yes. And for R2DBC, because R2DBC is not like part of the JDK, it's like a third party. In that terms, it is a third party library.
Right.
It is able to actually to bring in Micrometer. So R2DBC is natively instrumented via Micrometer. JDBC is basically like a project that needs to like
Wrap it.
yes, exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So and this gives you hooks. I mean, and there's so many other use cases. I wonder what people will do. when they realize that we have this incredibly pervasive de facto thing across the entire
Mhm.
community. You know, one of the things we have is in the database world, there's a Debezium, right, which is a change data capture
Yes,
library
CDC.
using write-ahead logs, and obviously this is not the same thing, but the idea that I could drain information, or I could drain information coming from something that wasn't intended for that, and then
Yes.
use that to build something else is just, oh, makes my mind
Yes,
wander.
CDC, yes, it has kind of like a similar idea of like basically like you have events and then you will decide what to do with them.
Right? Just be a part of that stream processing. Um, okay, so you've got the what else is what's new in the um Spring Boot 4? Like, what is, if you're a Spring Boot 4 user looking at Micrometer, like the
Mhm.
OTel stuff is really exciting, but it's just some dependencies and a few properties, right? Like,
Yep.
oh, it's huge though.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of new changes in Micrometer, and there are a few changes in Spring Boot regarding observability. So, for example, like in Spring Boot 4, we added support for auto configuration for a thing called meter tag in Micrometer. It's an annotation. So
What's
we used to have annotations for counted and timed. What they do, if you, for example, like have a method, you put timed on it, you already get timers for that method. It's
right?
basically a very, very quick way to like instrument a method call. You just put a single annotation of it. But it
So
was too
can I be
simple. So yeah, just
so
go ahead.
being 100% honest with you, I don't really use the annotations very much because the uh observation is just observation dot, and then there's a static method
Yes,
there whose name
yes, yes,
is like
yes.
the one, and it's so darned easy. And to be honest with you, a lot of times I use transaction template instead of transactional. Okay, so like I'm that guy. I
Mhm.
just prefer to live inside the method.
Yep.
But so so these the annotations are, they create proxies out of your objects and then result in,
Yes.
they're around advice around the method, right? Um,
Yes.
what what metrics can we capture? We talked about a meter. What's a meter versus a timer versus a counter versus a whatever?
Yes, so like a counter is basically like a single like value, a single number that can only increase. It's
Okay.
monotonic. Uh, so if you add like counted, you will get like kind of like the throughput of that method. You will be able to see like how many times you call that method per second, let's say.
Okay.
If you add timed, you will get a timer, which will include a counter, so you will get that data as well. That's why we usually say that if you can time something, then time it and don't count it, because you will get like more data. So timer will give you this counter. It will also give you like a sum, like all of the latencies. It will be added together, and you can use it to, for example, like calculate an average latency, like sum per count. That's an
Right.
average. You can also like can get like the maximum latency. Timer will give that to you out of the box as well. And if you configure it, you will get a histogram and also percentiles. Like you will get like a TP99 if you want, TP95, I don't know, 3959, and so on. Or if you have like a histogram, then Micrometer will like basically create like a bunch of buckets,
Right.
like for like latency boundaries, and it will count that, hey, how many requests you had between like 10 and 12 milliseconds, or and 12 to 15, and so on. And it will count these and it will
Oh,
send to the backend, and you
and
can use
bucket them.
this data. Yes, it is bucketed, and you can like basically like use this data to like generate like percentiles on the backend. And the like a big advantage of like histograms over these like client side calculated percentiles is that you can aggregate histograms if they are using the same buckets. You can basically just add that together and that's it.
Cool.
But you cannot aggregate percentiles. So
Okay.
the TP99 of the TP99 is not a TP99. It's something which I don't know what it is mathematically. I have zero idea. It's kind of like you cannot average averages.
Right.
The average of the averages is not the average of the whole thing.
Right. No.
So
Okay.
yeah. So, but with histogram, you can basically aggregate them. You can add them together, and you will get like the real value at the end. So it's much better. But yeah, this feature in Spring Boot, it
Yeah.
was basically like adding support for this concept. So auto configuration support, so that
Right.
if you add this annotation meter tag onto the method, or then so if you add it onto the method, you will get the method result.
Okay.
And if you add
Oh.
it to one of the
Oh,
parameters,
right.
you will get that as a dimension. And
Oh,
yes, and we did the same with
super
observation.
useful.
So if you like just use like at observed,
Does it include
uh,
the name of the class of the type, or what does it include?
so if you just like use like at observed, you will get the class name and the method name.
Okay, but
If you
not the
also
return
want to
value?
like add, sorry,
The
not the
return
return
value of
value.
the method?
The return value will not be there out of the box, because the return value can be like high or low cardinality. It can like it needs some like user interaction. You need to decide
Right.
as a user, one, you want to edit or not, and two, if you want to edit, is it high or low cardinality?
I see.
And this is true
Okay.
for the return value, and this is true for all of the parameters.
Okay.
Like for
Wow.
example, if there is like a, I don't know, user ID or an email address of a user, you might want to edit as high cardinality. But I don't know if you are selling cars and you have like a very like the well-defined set of like the color of the car, you can add
Right.
the color as low cardinality, for example. And you
That's
can
so
do it
cool.
with annotations. You just
Right.
put an annotation onto the parameter, and it will be added to your like observation.
So cool.
Yep,
Okay.
it's
That's a
pretty nice.
that is nice. It's much more it's a deep concept that is now made much more trivial for people to just add to their code
Yes.
base. That's cool. Meter tag, huh?
Also, yes, meter tag and observation key value. Those are
Yeah.
the annotations. But if you read the documentation, it will be there. Like if you read the boot release notes, you will find these.
I love
Also, I
this.
think, as far as I remember, there were some changes in SSL info and SSL health.
For the
So
Spring Boot SSL
for
bundle stuff?
yes, in Spring Boot 4, yes. So this was
Yeah.
basically observability support for the SSL bundle. What it did, and it is available in Spring Boot 3.5, but there were some breaking changes. So if you are using it, please like read the release notes.
Okay.
So
That's good to know.
what they do basically, they basically scan all of your SSL bundles, whether you have like a server-side certificate or client-side certificate. It will tell you the details about it. What is the issuer? What is the subject? What are the like validity dates? Which is like very, very important. If you
Yeah.
want like a certificate and you want to get an alert before it will expire.
A proactive
Yes,
refresh. Yeah.
exactly. So there was a change there. Before that, there was like a status will expire soon. Or something, because like also it can not just like tell you that, hey, this certificate is already expired, too bad, haha, but it can tell you, yeah, upfront. Like you can define like a threshold, and you can say, hey, let me know if the certificates will expire within 30 days, so that you will have like enough buffer to act and create a new one and redeploy it. And you don't even need to redeploy it. We
That's
support
cool
like
though.
yes, you just need to like get like a new certificate, and Spring Boot will like update it, and the SSL bundles will be also updated. So yeah, this feature was available in the health and also the info endpoint, and there were some changes in it, and those are breaking changes. So yeah, look into those if you
Okay.
are already using them. What else? Oh yes, MongoDB folks, they instrument themselves natively now with the observation API. So with Spring Boot 4, the health indicators, I guess, I'm not 100% sure if it happened actually in Spring Boot 4. I need to check that, but if it did not happen, it will. That the instrumentation for Spring Data, MongoDB,
Right.
that I guess it was like removed or will be removed, and the Mongo drivers instrumentation will be
Natively.
there natively.
That's another library using
Yes,
Micrometer
yes, yes,
directly.
yes, exactly.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure in that if it already happened, but as far as I remember, this happened in Spring Boot 4 for Redis. So the Redis instrumentation is now like auto-configured with the observation API in Spring Boot 4.
I love this. I love this.
Yep.
This is I mean, this kind of stuff is, it's not hard to build a REST API, right? That's not the hard thing. What I think the real difference.
Seemingly it is not hard if you're doing it, for example, with Spring Boot. But if you want to do it like from scratch just by using, it's really hard.
Well, but okay, fair. But what I'm trying to say is that's not the interesting thing, like the difference between.
Oh yeah, that's not your
code,
business logic. Yes, exactly.
No, even that. What I'm saying is the difference between your REST endpoint and production is this. It's what we just spent the last 35, almost 36 minutes talking about. It's observability, it's security, it's robustness.
Oh yes.
Like, is it built for a production environment? And this is why people love Spring Boot. This is why it's become so successful. Even from the very first version, we had integration with observability. It was using drop wizard metrics back then, but now we have the much improved Micrometer library, and I just love this. I'm just such a big fan. So thank you for your time and everything in this amazing release. I mean, I'm going to try out you and I should do a live stream where we look at the OpenTelemetry starter, because you've helped me set up an OpenTelemetry stack a few times, and it gets easier and easier. But now I think it'll be to the point where I can remember it.
It's just like one dependency as well. Also, if you want to learn more about like what's new, like if you go to like Micrometer and Micrometer tracing into GitHub, into the releases, like just click on like 1.16.0 and 1.60 for Micrometer tracing, and you will get a very, very long list of like what is new there. Included a bunch of new implementation for like generational Shenandoah, Jakarta Mail. I don't know, we added a bunch of them. There were like performance improvements, JSpecify, we deprecated Wavefront, new Prometheus client, these like new annotations I told you with like Spring Boot.
Right.
We have a meter convention now, like a bunch of things and goodies in the 1.16 like release.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Have a happy holidays, everybody, and to you, of course, as well, Jonathan. And I'll stick around. People, don't wander too far from your YouTubes. We're gonna have another guest here in a very short time. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.